Hey folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. I hope everyone's doing well. So, we continue our journey down memory lane with an examination of the top 10 welterweights of all time. As you know, I did a series of 3 videos on the heavyweight division. And then I just did a single video on the middleweight division, the one on the light heavyweight division, and now we're on the welterweight division. Now eventually, I'd like to get all 8 original divisions done, and then, if I'm lucky enough, I'll get round to doing the other divisions. Now one thing I just want to point out, if you go back in history, the divisions, then it's not as clear. You know, you had great champions like Sam Langford, for example, who fought in so many different divisions. He wasn't ever sort of pigeonholed. Like today, we say, you know, somebody is, super welterweight. Somebody is, in those days, you know, it wasn't necessarily a big deal for somebody to go up and fight somebody from a higher weight. Now we're making a big fuss about Conor Benn fighting Chris Eubank. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a junior middleweight against a middleweight, really and truly. I mean, okay, one has fought at welter, one has fought it at a higher level, super middleweight. But really, you know, there's a lot of angst about it, right? Where back in the day, you'd find fighters would, yeah, okay, I'm a middleweight, but you're a light heavyweight. I have a chance to fight you. I fight you. Sugar Ray Robinson, for example, fought the light heavyweight champion. Anyhow, I just want to say that because you will see sometimes that people are categorized in more than one division, and you think, well, how can that be, Bob? You know, he's a super welter or something. Well, it's not quite as clear. Go back in history, it's not quite as clear. The other thing is, like I say, the metrics. The metrics you use determine the outcome you get. And I explained the metrics I use when I did the first episode of all the heavyweights. So I look at championship reigns, I look at who they fought. Basically, it's a kind of like a resume analysis, only it's a bit more complicated than that. So if you think that your fighter should be on this list, great. How about her? If you think your fighter could beat somebody who's number 1, 2, or 3 on my list, yeah, you might be right. Because it's not a fantasy fight league. It's just my top based on the metrics I've used and calculating, crunching the numbers that I've done. The other thing is, sometimes I'm not so happy with the results because a favorite fighter of mine might not rate as highly as I thought they should. It's been an interesting exercise. Okay, here we go. Without further ado, we got the top 10 welterweights of all time. Number 10. Barney Ross. Now, Barney Ross was the best part of a trio of great boxers. Tony Cancerone and Jimmy McLarnin. They were the kings of the 1930s. Pretty much like Leonard, Hearns and Duran were 50 years later. Ross fought in a very good welterweight era and was twice world champion, 1934 and then 35 to 38. Joint 10. This is me being sneaky because there's actually 11. I can't separate them out. So I'm calling it Joint 10. Is Jimmy McLarnin. He was born in Belfast. People called him the Murderous Mick, the Belfast Spider, the Baby-Faced Assassin, the Hebrew Scourge, the Jew Beater. I guess there were a lot of people of the Jewish faith who were boxing at the time who lost to him. But whatever you call him, you know that you're talking about one of the really great champions of the prize ring. 2-time welterweight champ. McLarnin boasts wins over such fellow fighters as Lou Ambers, Barney Ross, Tony Cancerone, Billy Petroli, Benny Leonard, Fidel La Barba, Charles Bud Taylor, and young Corbett III. He also took part in movies. He starred with Maxie Rosenbaum in a movie. He starred with Joe Louis in a cameo. He had a record of 55-11. And he was never enticed back into the ring after he quit. He invested his money wisely. And he lived from 1907 until 2004. He died aged 96 in Washington, in the United States of America. So he had a long and very happy life. One of boxing's real success stories, because so many of these great champions, they suffer in their later years, and it's a tragic stories. But Jimmy McLarnin, the murderous Mick, the Hebrew scourge, he had a really good innings, living till 96. Number 9, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, Floyd, of course, achieved championships in 5 different weight classes, but many of Floyd's victories came at welterweight. He had victories over Manny Pacquiao, Shane Mosley, Maidana. Now, to be fair, the wins against Mosley and Pac-Man were when they were past their prime. We understand that. He had unmatched defensive prowess, ring IQ, then the ability to adapt, which made him a bit of a nightmare for opponents. He held the WBC, WBA, and WBO titles at welterweight, and he retired undefeated at 50-0, with his welterweight performances playing a fairly substantial part in that legacy, because he went 12-0 as welterweight. Number 8, Jack Britton. 104 wins, 30 losses, 20 draws. He was known as the boxing marvel. He had 37 title bouts, and he beat top fighters such as Mick O'Dood, Charlie White, Mickey Walker, Benny Leonard, and the great Ted Kid Lewis. He fought Kid Lewis 19 times. Can you imagine, we talk today about a trilogy and we think, oh my God, do we really need to see Better BF Bivol number 3? Well, how about Jack Britton and Ted Kill Lewis number 19? Now we get into there's some tricky numbers here. 5, 6, and 7 could have easily been the other way around. Like, there's very few numbers separate them. But number 7, I've got Kid Gavilan. 108 wins, 30 losses, 5 draws. He was known as the Cuban Hawk. Kid Gavilan was stylish. He was a stylish person. He also was stylish in the ring. And he was a very tough competitor. He held the welterweight title from 1951 to 1954. And he was famous for a punch he called the Bolo punch. Gavilan was one of the most durable and flashy fighters of his time. Absolute showboater. That's what we would call him now. But unlike some showboaters who were, all sizzle and no steak, Kid Gavilan definitely knew how to fight. He faced some of the best. He beat Carmen Basilio, but he lost to Sugar Ray Robinson. He held his own against a stacked field of opponents in the 1950s. The 1950s was particularly strong as well. His legacy lives on as a bridge between the golden era of the 40s and the explosive welterweights of the 1960s. Like I say, he beat Billy Graham, Carmen Basilio, Ike Williams, and twice he gave Sugar Ray Robinson a hard night's work. It was not an easy thing for Sugar Ray Robinson to beat Kid Gavilan. Number 6, Emile Griffith. 85 wins, 24 losses, 2 draws. Emile Griffith was a 3-time world welterweight champion who fought some of the toughest names of his time. He won the welterweight title in 1961 and later regained it in 2 separate reigns, 62 to 63 and 63 to 66. Griffith was known for his versatility and his ability to adjust to different styles. Now, while his career is sometimes overshadowed by the tragic fight with Benny Paret, of course Benny Paret died, Griffith's skill and resilience helped him remain a top fighter across multiple weight divisions for more than a decade. He beat Don Fulmer, Dick Tiger, and Nini Benvenuti, amongst others. Number 6, Emile Griffith. Like I say, it could have been the other way around. Number 5, Jose Napoles. 81 wins, 7 losses, no draws. Cuban-born, Mexican fighter. Jose Napoles was known for that silky, smooth style. He also had incredible boxing skills. He held the welterweight title from 1969 to 1975. And he made 13 successful defenses. He was nicknamed Mantequilla, or butter, because he was so smooth in the ring. Napoles combined precision, timing, and movement in a way that in his prime, he was nearly untouchable. People think of Floyd Mayweather as being really hard to hit. Well, Napoles was like that as well. In his prime, very, very hard to lay a glove on him. Now, he started as a lightweight. His dominance at welterweight earns him a firm place in this list. He beats Emile Griffith. Now, of course, when he beat Griffith, Griffith was a little bit older. And, you know, a lot of these fighters, there's sort of like overlap, if you like. And Curtis Coates. So like I say, 5, 6, and 7 could easily be the other way around. You know, if you don't like one of the positions, that's fine. Remember, the metrics you use will determine the outcome you get. Now, number 4 is one of my favorite fighters of all time. A great fighter. I wanted him to be higher scoring in this. What I wanted and what I got were different things. But just so as you know, if you'd asked me before I did the math, I would have placed this person at number 3 for sure. Anyhow, I'm talking about none other than Tommy Hitman Hearns. 61 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw. Hearns brought devastating power to the welterweight division. He stood 6'1" and he had a reach of 78 inches. So, you know, all those physical advantages, which, when you combine them with that explosive right hand, it made him one of the most dangerous welterweights ever. Hearns won the WBA welterweight title in 1980 and had a classic showdown with Sugar Ray Leonard in 1981. Although he lost that fight, his dominance, knockout power, and performances in multiple weight classes secured his spot amongst the all-time greats. And who can forget the war? Tommy Hearns and the Marvelous One. So, Tommy, I'm disappointed to see him number 4. He would have been number 3, but it was the metrics I used, and I've got to be sort of, you know, I've got to be honest with myself when I do these things. Now, number 3, and this is no disrespect, when I say Tommy Hearns should be number 3, it might mean no disrespect to the persons who are number 2 and number 3 on this list. Number 3 is Henry Homicide Hank Armstrong. 149 wins, 21 losses, 10 draws. Now, Henry Armstrong accomplished the unthinkable. He held the featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight titles simultaneously. So he was the champion in all 3 divisions at the same time. That's a feat that's not been matched. There are people who've gone, you know, okay, I'm holding at this level, then this level, then this level. I mean, Pac-Man has got across 8 divisions, right? But not simultaneously. He defended the welterweight title a remarkable 19 times from 1938 to 1940. Armstrong's relentless pressure and work rate overwhelmed opponents. He fought 27 times in 1937. I mean, this is almost like Harry Greb kind of levels, right? Harry Greb fought 45 times in 1919. 27 times in 1937. Now, he was small for a welterweight, but in tenacity and stamina made him one of the most feared fighters of his era. He beat Fritzy Zivik and Lou Ambers, and he fought against Sugar Ray Robinson. Now, number 2, to be honest, I thought number 2 and number 4 should kind of swap places. But I think this is mostly my prejudice, right? And no disrespect to Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray Leonard, 36 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. Leonard brought charisma, skill, and intelligence to the ring. He's also a great showman, right? He won a lot of fights in the last 30 seconds of each round, as I like to say. I'm a fan of Sugar Ray Leonard. I still think Marvin Hagler beat him, but hey, you know, let's not go down that road. He won the welterweight title in 1979. He beat Wilfred Benitez, and he famously beat Roberto Duran in their rematch, avenging his only defeat at the time. Leonard's 1981 victory over Thomas Hearns in a welterweight unification bout was a classic, right? I mean, I watched that fight. I was there. Not actually there at the fight, but I mean, I was around. I was a young man, right? It showcased his adaptability and his heart. He had wicked hand speed. Like Sugar Ray Leonard at his best was really, really excellent. He also had awesome ring IQ. He defined the welterweight division, to be honest with you, in the 1980s and cemented his place amongst what is called like boxing royalty. His run from 1977 to 1982 is the best in my lifetime at this weight. So I've been around since 1960. That run he had from 77 to 82, I don't think there's a better welterweight run in the past 65 years, to be honest with you. If you think of a better one, please let me know in the comments section below. He beat Benitez, Duran, and Hearns, and then he moved up to, yes, he did beat Hagler. Anyhow. It was simply outstanding. So, Sugar Ray Leonard, number 2. Now, probably no prizes for guessing who's number 1. It's the only person who I've got winning in 2 separate divisions. He was the best middleweight ever, in my view, according to my metrics. He's also the best welterweight ever. And in fact, even though there isn't much film footage of him as a welterweight, he is thought to have been completely untouchable, like incomparable at welterweight. And he's regarded usually by serious boxing historians, serious boxing fans, as the greatest pound for pound boxer in history. And I'm talking, of course, about Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson revolutionized the sport with his blend of power, speed, and technique. He was the inspiration for Muhammad Ali. And Sugar Ray Leonard said when Sugar Ray Robinson died, that's the real Sugar Ray. He was the undisputed welterweight champion from 1946 to 1951, and he defended his title successfully 5 times before he moved up to middleweight. His record is staggering. 173 wins, 19 losses, 6 draws. It's 108 knockouts. And in fact, he's got the best knockout you will ever see. His knockout of Gene Fullmer in their second fight when Sugar Ray is going backwards. Look it up. It's available on YouTube. It's spectacular. It's one of those feats that defies the laws of the sport kind of thing. Many of Sugar Ray's best performances we don't have on film, but we rely upon the writings of people who were there at the time. And they say that during his welterweight years, Sugar Ray was virtually untouchable. Like, people couldn't hit him. He was superb. His influence on the sport is immeasurable, and it's inspired generations of fighters. So Sugar Ray Robinson, not only the greatest middleweight of all time, but the greatest welterweight of all time. And if you end up arguing with somebody about how good Sugar Ray Robinson was, they might pick, a little bit at the fact that he might be like the second or third greatest middleweight ever. It's at middleweight where he's more vulnerable to criticism. But at welterweight, if you're talking to a serious boxing fan, at welterweight, and they don't have Sugar Ray Robinson number one, then they, to be perfectly honest, don't really know the history of the sport very well. Because at welterweight, he's universally regarded as number one. Hopefully you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane. If I've talked about fighters you're not that familiar with, please go look them up. If you've got your own list of the top 10 welterweights of all time, please put them in the comments section. I'd love to see them. Remember, your metrics, your results. If you change some of the metrics, if you put more weight on a certain fight than on another fight, or you put more weight on a length of championship, or you look at the era and you think that era wasn't that strong, so okay, he was a champion in a weaker era, your results are going to be different. This is not a fantasy fight league, like I said. So if your favorite welterweight, if you think that Jaron Boots Ennis can beat any of these guys, you'll have no argument. I don't engage in fantasy fight stuff. Though it'd be interesting to see him try to beat Hearns, Armstrong, Leonard, or Robinson. I know where I would be putting my money. So anyhow, I'll leave it there. Please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the comments as well. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.